today. Hi, guys.
Just
We haven't done one with everyone in a while.
No, it's been a lot of duo shows because we haven't. That's what the schedule has dictated. And Nicole is here,
I am.
and Mama Kay is here as well.
I'm last.
Oh.
It's just the order.
It's just the order.
'cause
I know, yeah.
Well,
You have
it's just
the longest name, like Mama.
It is the
Kay.
name. It's because your name is a two-word name.
It's
so it has
always
to
like
be-
the one syllable name that hits.
That's true. Jess, then double syllable, Nicole.
And it's like at the end of credits when it goes and this actor or something. Like it's always the older actor.
Featuring
it's always the one with
The
the
honorable
longer
mention
name.
at the end.
Yeah, maybe I'm the introducing, so maybe you guys can shut up. Introducing
Today
Mama Kay.
Today we are catching up on stuff from 2023, and well, not necessarily just from 2023. We're doing a catch-up show, basically. I'm catching up on movies that I saw that I'm not going to make everyone else watch and do reviews on because they're not going to have anything to talk about on these movies, even if they're good. So it's just not going to be those kind of ones. And then I know my co-hosts probably have some TV to talk about that's new, so we'll do some TV talk. And again, it won't necessarily be new stuff, brand new stuff, just stuff we've caught up on. Although I'll be sticking to newer stuff. And I'll start with just a couple of movies that I saw very recently. I'll start with one that I saw on Hulu called Aporia.
Acrimony?
Aporia.
Epitome. You guys remember? This is a movie that's like a very low-budget sci-fi movie that's on Hulu right now. It's got an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes with the critics and a 70 with the audience, 5.5 on IMDb. And it's like a time travel movie, but very, very not low concept. It's very simple. Instead of going back in time and doing all these crazy things, you send back one little tiny particle, like one little tiny atom back in time, and that's enough to make this series of events happen so that a wife's husband doesn't die. But that has unintended consequences. People start forgetting things and vanishing, and it's very matter of fact, very well done. It takes a little bit to get into, like quite a bit to get into, honestly. But once it starts cooking, it's quality watch. And another
Is that
streaming
the one I
movie
started
saw
watching
called...
with you?
It is, yeah. Did you see any of that?
Well, what I saw I didn't like, so I didn't know that.
End of discussion.
You guys remember something in the dirt?
Oh,
from
God, yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
The Dirt. Not that I watched it. I just remember you guys shit on it.
Not the dirt.
No, but I would watch The
it's-
Dirt again before I would watch Something in the Dirt again. So,
Well,
yeah.
this is closer to Something in the Dirt, although I would say
no.
it's a little higher camera quality. It's a little more comprehensive, like cohesive, not comprehensive.
I would hope so. So, how long was this movie? Because that's a really big judgment point for most of
Hour and
us.
40 minutes, pretty short.
Okay, well,
Yeah. Again, this isn't. I wouldn't recommend it to any of you three, but it is good. That's why I have to talk about it. Like you'll notice all of these have some sort of sci-fi bend to them because you guys tend to have the. You'll give them a chance if they work for you, but that's your guys' weak points as far as enjoyment levels.
Yeah.
So I have to bring the quality ones, like this next time travel movie, Totally Killer, which is a one of the teen slasher kind of movies that I like. The Happy Death Days, Freaky, Tragedy Girls, Final Girls, all those movies where like it's like the high school age girls, and then there's like a murderer on the loose, and it's like Scream but modern, like a tongue-in-cheek horror comedy. And this one is a time travel one. She has to go back and stop the murders of her mom's friends, but her mom's friends are all from like idiots from the 80s, and they make bad choices. So this modern girl has to stop them. It's Kiernan Shipka from Mad Men, Don Draper's daughter. So she's quite good in it. It's middle of the road for those other movies that I compared it to, but worth checking out if you like those kinds of movies. That's on Prime, I believe. So I wanted to whet the appetites. I'll go to Mama Kay now. What's some stuff you caught up on this year? What have you been seeing?
well, the biggest thing I caught up on, or that caught me finally, was COVID. Hadn't had it, and then I finally got it.
Wow.
Yeah, Thanksgiving or Thanksmas.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I know. I was feeling like, not gonna lie, a little superior for a long time. So, yeah, how did it?
My immune system's just better than everyone.
Yeah, I'm just the ultimate human.
That's pretty much what it was.
This is all overblown. You thought it was all a hoax? One of those people?
Didn't think it was a hoax, no, because there were people in my house that had COVID, and it just wasn't me. But anyway, the
To
point
be fair,
of,
my mom also got COVID for the first time in September because I gave it to her. So
Wow, real
gift that
nice
keeps on
of you,
giving.
Jess.
Well, the debate is whether my youngest son or we had it at the same time, and we're debated about who gave it to who. I'm pretty sure I gave it to him. But my point in telling you all my, glorified medical history is that I had time to watch things, but I could definitely not watch anything meaningful or interesting, or it basically had to be white bread, bland TV. Book Club 2 is what I watched.
Book Club 2.
The sequel to Book Club, with all of the older women and some older men this time. They had Don Johnson was in it, Andy Garcia, Craig T. Nelson.
I think they were in the first Book Club, if I'm recalling. Craig T. Nelson also, yeah.
Yeah,
I think these are all the men from the first Book Club.
See, I don't remember the first Book Club, so there we go. And so it's a wedding. That's what brings them all together. And they go to Italy. So who doesn't love me? I mean, I love it. I don't know. There's probably people who don't, but I love it. I love, destination movies. So, Book Club 2. And then during that same time, I also, on the opposite end of the spectrum, watched The Big Short for the first time, which I did have to pay attention to. But I watched
did you like
it.
The Big Short?
I did like it, but it did take me 9 days to watch it. So, it's not the...
I mean, it's only like 2 hours. It's not like
I
it's
don't
the
even think
longest
it's
movie
2
ever.
hours. It's not the longest movie in the world, but I slept a lot during COVID, so it'd be like, I watched it and then I had to go back and, I only saw 10 minutes. So now I have to put it all on all over again. Yeah, it was really, kind of like maybe Jess watches movies. I'm not sure. But it felt like that.
You guys are backward. TV, watch 8 episodes at a time. Movies, watch over 3 days.
It was so much more than 3 days, though. It was kind of embarrassing, honestly. And then for 2 other movies that I can think of, and I have one documentary later on, one was the Apple TV movie Ghosted. I did watch that prior to COVID. And it's,
What is that? Is that like an action
something?
Something?
Flick, Ana de Armas, Chris Evans,
yeah.
And then a bunch of cameos, which were kind of the best part of the movie. Yeah, that's...
Not a positive review for Ghosted, then?
Not a recommend.
No.
Not a recommend.
Any of these recommends that you've given? Big Short?
Yeah, I can recommend The Big Short. I would probably next time watch
After
it
9
not
days.
over that period. It was like
9 days and like 5 years later, 15 years after the actual events.
9 days
Maybe
there.
That's exactly 9 days later. Maybe that's how I can only take Christian Bale as in like 8-minute segments, and then I can't watch him anymore. And then an old standby that I just put on for comfort is Thelma and Louise. So for movies, that's where I think that's it for my list of actual movies. So
we'll hang on to your TV then till we wrap back around, or your.
I have a documentary.
Sounds like you have a documentary.
Yeah.
Speaking of documentaries, maybe Nicole wants to talk about something.
Oh, okay. I just had to text my mom because I couldn't remember. So let me start over. I was trying to think of movies that I watched this year for the first time, and I wrote down a list of things that we've watched this year that came out in 2023, and every single one of them have been things that we've done for the show. So,
well, I mean, does that surprise you at all?
Not really. No.
When would you watch anything else?
Every once in a while.
I mean, honestly, pretty much same. I think there's like a few maybe we didn't discuss, but
yeah,
I had COVID.
Well, you guys are
That's
here
the
for
only
the TV
reason.
aspect.
Yeah.
Because you guys already watched all the movies for this show.
There was one thing that I remember we watched for the first time this year, and it didn't come out this year, and I just texted my mom to confirm. And we watched Cujo for the first time this year.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like that should have stayed in the 80s, so I don't really think that's something I would run and shout from the rooftops.
Never heard of it.
It's a Stephen...
Yeah, explain to Jess and the other listeners who don't know.
What is Cujo?
It's a Stephen King movie based on
okay, say no more.
Yeah, based on a...
Say less.
A book
I get it
about
now.
a rabid dog that a woman gets stuck in her car for 2 hours and can't get out of her car because the dog is foaming at the mouth in front of her car door.
This would be amazing punishment for Jess. She would hate this movie because it's so old and it's so just watching a disgusting dog look at you. She would hate this movie.
And I feel like the sound. I feel like the soundtrack would come across as like kind of like kind of.
I'm trying to think of Cujo's a pretty perfect torture movie to put on for Jess. And then you tell her it's a horror movie too, and then she's watching this, and she's like, "This is not even acceptable as a movie." Let alone.
Yeah, it was nothing to write home about anymore, unfortunately. But literally, I wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movies that I may have to use later on in my ranking show because I didn't see anything else this year.
No, this is not our top show. This is more of it's like a not even an honorable mentions, just stuff
catch up
show.
with us.
Yeah. That's why I'm not going over those. So, what I did learn this year, unfortunately, I think the time has come for me to say goodbye to a show that I enjoyed for a couple years now that I am no longer finding enjoyment in.
No.
And I'm very upset about it. But that is The Masked Singer. The Masked Singer.
Oh.
I feel like it's
everyone's favorite piece of shit.
Yeah, I feel like it's really lost its touch, and I'm actually rather annoyed by it now. And I never was before because, it's just a fun, lighthearted game show, and I like guessing the celebrities, but for the past year or two, it hasn't been celebrities anymore. It's just been fucking people from Vanderpump Rules that I never seen before.
Influencers.
Yeah, exactly. And washed up drug addict NFL players. So I just I have to put it to bed after this season, I think. We're not finding enjoyment anymore. But one thing I am finding enjoyment in is Celebrity Jeopardy. I didn't see...
I didn't even know that's a thing.
Oh, yeah, man. With Ken
Hosted
Jennings
by?
as the host now.
No.
It's fabulous. He's good.
He's really good.
Triple Jeopardy now. There's 3 rounds. Can I ask for any more? No.
We can go quadruple. We can go quad. Get the quad box up.
We could do a 4, but we don't have 2 hours to spare. But the documentary that Brennan mentioned was something we just watched that I believe it just came out a couple months ago. It's a documentary, 3 episode series called Love Has Won. Which is about a woman who starts her own cult, in quotation marks, with a bunch of people in Colorado, and they move around the Southwest up to the Pacific Northwest. She proclaims that she is Mother God, and she speaks to her confidant, which is Robin Williams, and he tells her what to do next with her life. And she's got a nice group of people that follow her and have the Galactics that speak to them, including but not limited to Saint Germain, Robin Williams, Tina Turner, Michael Jackson, I think Carol Burnett, a couple of other dead celebrities that are in the Galactics.
Carol
These are the
Burnett's
Saints.
dead?
No, I don't remember who it was. It was something. I don't remember who it was. So you got
Betty White.
She's got a.
Let's say Betty White.
No, it was
Robin Williams is one of the main ones. He's every time they go to the one of the people in the cult, they're like, "Oh yes, he's very important. He's one of our highest disciples." I'm like,
he's a disciple. Yeah, he's in the Galactics, and her main take on life is that the alcohol and mushrooms and marijuana that she consumes daily is keeping her alive, keeping her into the ascension, which will happen when she moves on to the next world. And we find out at the end, perhaps that's not the way that things go. So, I definitely recommend this. It's 3 1-hour episodes. We knocked it out in one night, and I couldn't sleep that night. I was genuinely freaked out by this woman. It was on Max.
Okay.
The spoiler alert warning, there is something very grotesque in the first opening scenes.
Yeah.
If you feel generally queasy about death, I maybe wouldn't watch the beginning.
Yeah, there's some mummy shit going on, and that's in the first couple minutes. So it's not spoiling anything, but if you don't like human living mummies kind of thing, you're not gonna maybe not want to.
And I do have one more thing, but it sounds like we all have one more thing to go around and say. So I'll keep my big blowout for when it gets back to me.
Yeah, Jess, why don't you give us some things you've seen recently?
Got my annual watchings, the things that I watch every year, the things that I watched on the plane, and then Apple TV shows, and then a few random things. So I'll start with annual watchings that are very, very cringy. I hate to admit it, but I'm still watching Grey's Anatomy, so that's on the list.
No.
Well, somebody has to be, honestly.
I would say, now we know who's watching it. Keep it alive, Jess.
Reason why they keep making
They're on life
season 45.
It's you. Oh man, why Grey's? Well, I've watched one episode of that show.
I loved
what is
it so much. Well, sorry, my headphone fell out. I loved it so much when it first came out, like everyone else did, and I just can't let it go. I just feel like I'd be quitting on it, but it is so painful. I literally
what
have no
season
idea.
is it on?
Meredith isn't even in it anymore.
It's got to be like season 20 or something.
I think I watched it till season. Jeez, I think I watched it till season
Honestly,
9
I felt like
or
when
11.
Christina left is when
and by that time
everything went downhill. So that was like season 7.
Yeah, by that time, like 3/4 of the original cast was already gone. I can't even imagine. There's like 1 or 2 people left on the show.
Virgin River,
Wow.
which I don't know why I watch this show.
Girl, no.
I know. There's just some things I watch every year, and I just like I actually don't even like watching it, but I just have to.
I don't know what this is. What's Virgin
I
River?
watched 2 seasons of it, and everyone is like, 3rd season. I'm like, absolutely not.
What
it's
even
not
is
good.
Is it a? What's the? Can you give me like the premise? I've never even heard of this.
A female nurse practitioner moves to a small town, and it's just all small town sitcom kind of things.
It's more drama than sitcom. I mean, it's funny, but it's more drama. It's like a dramedy, I guess.
It's probably more sappy, like Hallmark stuff.
It's very Hallmarky.
Is it like
and some of the acting is very...
This Is Us, those things.
Oh, so that's also on my list.
Oh God! Okay, all right. So this is I hate. Okay, all right.
This
I
Is
see
Us
where we are
is
now.
really good compared to Virgin River. Virgin River. Is
no, that can't be possible.
I'm sorry to say it. I did like the first season, but then it's one of those things where like I cannot watch you anymore.
I need melodrama to have tongue in cheek. I need it to know what it is. I can't when it's earnest. When it's too earnest, it makes my skin crawl, and I'm like, no, you're not. You can't actually. But
it also feels very Canadian for some reason. So
that is true. Most of that stuff does. It's that Hallmark.
No offense to Canada or anything, but it just feels Canadian.
No, they make things.
They make stuff.
You just got us canceled in Canada.
That's all right. Our listenership isn't the strongest there.
It's fine.
All right. So actually, I did put This Is Us, but I put it in parentheses dead because I think that ended a year or 2 ago. But it would be in my annual watchings if it was still live. And the last thing I have is A Million Little Things, which is basically This Is Us, but another TV show.
What is that, Jess? I mean, that's interesting that you're reaching out for that. That's the sappy melodrama. I mean, I have like Darren Aronofsky movies. That's my melodrama. The Whale and Noah. Like I like that, but this is interesting.
All right, so I also saw all 4 Hunger Games during Thanksgiving break. I'm sure most of our listeners have seen it. I think they're fine, but not great. I think I liked number 2 the best. I wish 3 and 4 weren't cut out into separate movies. I wish it was just one movie and they just cut out a lot of stuff. I watch it in anticipation for the recent Hunger Games out in theaters, and I hated that, so I wish I got my 12 hours of TV watching back and watch something I actually liked.
Well, that sounds like me. You watching 4 hours of a franchise you don't want to watch the new one. Like that's a me move. That's what I did with the Fast and Furious.
Oh God.
I was like, wow, these suck. I can't wait to watch the new one. And then that one was worse than all the ones I just watched. And I'm like, well, why did
I know you're not
this?
talking about Hobbs and Shaw.
No, I was not. I was talking about 9 and 10 and most of them.
All right, so I'll move on to the things that I watched on the plane, which are all from Apple TV, because I think now every other streaming service doesn't let me download shit anymore. I have to pay for the upgraded version. So Apple
You're an Apple TV stan.
Yep.
Yeah, so Apple TV is the only one that let me still download stuff. So I've got Lessons in Chemistry, which was okay. It was a solid TV choice. I don't think
That's
I
on my
finished it,
list.
so
That's on my list.
yeah, it's fine.
Lessons in Chemistry.
Hijack, which I think Mama K we already talked about.
Yeah.
I've got The Challenging, which I don't think was that great. I didn't finish it, and I have no desire to finish it. And then I have The Morning Show, which I loved. This was the best season of The Morning Show. I watched it. I think I watched it right when it came out on season 1, and that was when Apple TV first announced, because they're like, hey, we got this new show with... No, it's a new show with Jennifer Aniston and
Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, so that's kind of what kicked off Apple TV, because it was the first time Jennifer Aniston was in a TV show since Friends, and Reese Witherspoon. The first season wasn't great, but it got better as each season goes, and this last one was so good.
See, Jess, I also watched. We watched that when it comes out, and I wanted to give up after. Was this season 4? I think so.
I think it was season 4.
Yeah. I disliked season 3. I disliked many episodes of season 4. I don't want to watch it anymore, but I have to. So, I'm.
Is that in your annual iTunes category now? You just have to, even though you don't.
No, I have to because I'm married, and it keeps the relationship stable.
Oh, it's the other half.
It's a contractual thing, yeah. So it's I could barely stand to watch it. There were times when I would had to just remove myself from the situation and kind of bob in the corner a little bit. Like this is irritating me so much. So it's very proud of itself. It's very it's very preachy. So.
It is. There is a lot of dialogue. There is
a lot of dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the one you guys have talked about the most of the Apple, because I've liked what Severance you recommended to me, Jess.
Severance is so good.
I love that. I gotta go back and rewatch. I want to save to rewatch that for when 2 comes out, because I know
2 has to come out soon.
It ends on like a cliffhanger, so I want to rewatch it, but I'm gonna save it for when it comes out so I can kind of do it all in one shot. But of these other Apple TV shows you've talked about, and Mama K, you can chime in here too, since you've seen at least a couple plus like Ted Lasso. Those, what's worth it? What's worth it for the outsiders looking in? What's the best stuff to start with on Apple TV?
Hijack.
I gotta go back and listen to that episode.
Yeah. So that's actually my next category is other Apple TV shows. So Ted Lasso is what everyone fangirls about. I don't think it was that great. Everyone's like, oh, it's such a feel good TV show to watch. I thought it was pretty boring, and there's only one scene that I actually had a feel good moment to. The last thing he told me, that's really good. I feel like if you're a female that likes crime kind of podcasts or TV shows, that one's good. It has Jennifer Gardner in it. And then I put Severance on here, even though I watched that. I think I watched it the end of last year, but I still put it on because it's just so good.
I watched the last thing she told me, and Jennifer Garner bothered the heck out of me because she just had this confused look on her face the whole time, super confused.
I think she always...
I feel like she always...
Yeah, and maybe that's... I don't know that I've ever seen her in anything that's not a, hour and a half comedy movie. So
I said, what's your favorite Jennifer Garner role? I can think of things I've seen her in, but I don't have my
13 going on 30, and that's it.
Oh
yeah.
Okay.
I think I saw Catch and Release. Is that sometime?
Not speaking my language.
And then what was the other one that you said? Truth? No, what was? Did you watch Truth Be
Ted
Told?
Lasso.
Oh, Ted Lasso. Yeah, I loved the first couple seasons, and it kind of went down a little bit after that.
I only watched season 1. I didn't even bother watching season 2.
I remember you liking seasons 1 and 2. Okay, I know 3 is kind of universally mixed, but rebut Jess's why is Ted Lasso in a positive light? Because again, I have not seen, but I've heard mostly good, and then it falls off in 3.
The thing that I like about Ted Lasso, first of all, I think the characters get fleshed out pretty well. There's some that can be annoying, but there's supposed to be annoying, and I think that's okay. But it's also very snappy dialogue, and you really have to pay attention to what they're saying. And Ted Lasso himself is If you don't, he's like a modern day Ned Flanders. I don't know if that makes you want to watch it or not, but he's a bit okie diddly dokey. But that gets pulled apart. You know, that's we see underneath that as the shows go on, and then I think it just sort of, you know, you want those things to keep on going, but I think it's kind of hard to keep having character growth and then having I don't know. It didn't blend for me at the end.
There's too much of a barrier to entry. Despite liking Jason Sudeikis in multiple things, that character to me doesn't seem like someone I'm gonna latch onto like off the bat. And like that's kind of a maybe I would, but like that my biggest barrier was like he's that character. I'm like I don't know if I want to spend TV time with him. That's a lot of time for that guy.
For me, it is a lot of what's going on around him. It's a lot of the characters that go along around him that are really more compelling for me to watch. So there's that. And you didn't watch Truth Be Told, Jess, with Octavia Spencer?
No, should I?
You should. It's murder mystery-y kind of thing. I think there's 2 seasons of that. First season's better than the second. But
it's on Apple TV?
Apple TV, yeah.
Nice. That'll be another airplane watch.
There you go.
There you go. I'd say we always all got flights coming up, so it's always good to have Apple TV for the airplane. I'll come back around now with some movies. The Creator I saw, which was Gareth Edwards' newest movie. I described it, I wrote it down, like, if this came out like 10 or 15 years ago, this would be bigger than Avatar. Like, everyone would be like, this is the crazy, the concepts I've never seen, like, the visuals, I've never seen anything, and it came and went, and, like, no one cared, because it's modern day. Avatar's come out, the Avengers movies have all come out, Star Wars has happened 1,000 times, and how many other big Christopher Nolan and, like, big things have happened in recent years. But this is a very, very good movie. It's a post-apocalypse, kind of, not even really post-apocalypse. It's like a future where there's like AI people, and China has embraced them, and there's like a new China, so the world's kind of in two. It's like China has taken over one half of the world, the other half is like a Western US, or European kind of place, and they don't have AIs, and they blame AIs for this big nuclear attack that happened. But of course the humans were to blame. It was not the AIs. The AIs are innocent good guys, and the humans are evil bad guys. I don't need to spoil any of this for you because you know it watching the trailer. But if it happens to come across a streaming service, if it's on a TV thing, it's very good to watch. And
it is
John
getting
David
ready to come out on streaming. I saw that.
I would. If we don't have other things to do, it's worth like kind of recapping when we get around to it. I got tears at the end. It was a little bit of cheap tears, but I got tears at the end. So The Creator, it looks like everything you've ever seen, but it's a good version of everything you see. So, you know, if you like that kind of movie, when it comes out, you're going to want it. Something you're not going to want that's out on streaming service that was early this year that I was looking forward to that I passed completely because of the horrible reviews, and it's Fool's Paradise, Charlie Day's new movie. He wrote, directed, and starred. Everyone loves Charlie Day from the Always Sunny Philadelphia. He's in the Horrible Bosses movies. I know, Mama K, you not a big fan. I don't think any of you guys are. Again, we're catching up on stuff that none of you would otherwise watch. But Fool's Paradise, I was looking forward to it because it's directorial debut, and it's not. The problem is, it's not right at all. It's like not funny, but it's put together like a broad slapstick Charlie Chaplin throwback level comedy, like really slapstick, foolish, but like I think he wants it. He didn't get what he wanted to go after. I think he wanted like a Woody Allen-ish kind of thing with a Charlie Chaplin character at the middle, but it feels like an Adam Sandler movie where he gets all your friends to do cameos and silly accents and wacky voices, and it falls flat. And
those are your favorite movies.
Funny.
Those are
yeah, but it's my favorite movies. It like I could see what he was going for, and I was like, oh, if you just make this a drama, I would have really liked this. But it's so clearly coded as a comedy that it doesn't work at all. I could go into it for a lot more, but I don't want to shit on a thing I didn't like on a person I like who makes stuff. So Fool's Paradise, it's not good. And Godzilla -1 is the last movie that I saw recently. I'm gonna hang on to it until we get to our end of year top 5 kind of show, because maybe it will need to be talked about then. But if it's in theaters near you and you're hesitant on on non-English speaking movies, or you are like, another Godzilla movie, really? Do I need this? You're going to want to give this one a try. It's the best Godzilla movie I've ever seen. Not that I've loved the other ones, but the human story is very good. The CGI stuff all works. If you have any interest at all, even an inkling, you're going to want to see Godzilla -1. It's worth your time. So I'll hang on to that for further discussion till later. Well, okay, I want to go back to you. I think you were holding on to a big juicy guy at the end here.
Well, I had a documentary I want to talk about, but I didn't get into my TV show stuff. I'm just going to get into some of the stuff I really liked, and I can say you need to see The Bear on Hulu. We just finished it last night. There are 2 seasons. Anybody seen it?
No,
it's
No, it was on my list of things I was gonna mention that I'm toying between watching.
Push yourself over the edge because I'm
interested
too.
Like find TV shows on Hulu, because I feel like TikTok always tells you what to watch on Netflix, and
Right.
Apple TV has a lot of ads. How do you find the Hulu shows?
I think Hulu is word of mouth, because I heard about The Bear from probably 3 different people in sort of different parts of my life. And I was like, how are these, totally discordant people liking this same show? And it has Jeremy Allen White in it, who was in Shameless, which I watched, I don't know, maybe
I like Shameless.
7 or 8 episodes
I haven't seen all of it, but it's one of those shows I turned on and kept on all the time in the background, for a year or whatever. I was like, I'll just put Shameless on and do stuff. It's a good one of those shows.
Yeah, but The Bear is really good, and it's about this chef who goes home to, he's a world-renowned chef. He's a young guy though. Goes home to Chicago because he has to take over his family's loose meat restaurant. I don't know how else you'd call it, like a sandwich restaurant, I guess. And it is about that. It's about him coming from, he's obviously from this Chicago background, but he's been away and now he has to come back. So he's the fish out of water. And you deal with all of the characters you think you're going to deal with when you come back home, your family, and then the people who work at the restaurant. And it's just, I think they're anywhere between 35 and 40 minutes, most of them. And man, it's a ride. And I feel a lot of things watching this show. I really enjoy that. And then there's always the Great British Baking Show. You have to watch that. And
do you?
You have to root for the people. And yes, it's such
root
a kind. What's that?
Root for what to happen? Nothing. My biggest problem with that show, there's no point. Nothing happens. There's no prize. The time limits and the people. What's the prize? What is the prize?
They get a cake stand.
My God. Can you imagine watching Survivor and at the end they got a $25 Amazon gift card? Why would you watch that show?
They just all love each other so much and support each other. It's the craziest thing.
Son,
Americans would never be able to do a show like this because we're just so caustic.
Yeah, but who versus?
Well, that's the thing.
Who versus? There's nothing, come on now.
Yeah, but they would be once Americans started doing it, all of a sudden there would be alliances, and how are we going to make sure that his meringue doesn't fluff or whatever? So
that's drama. You mean because I remember watching it.
No, there is
For
drama.
a host pick. Yeah, I remember we watched it for a host pick one time, and the guys. Okay. It was the championship, and the guys' thing a dish was broken or something, and so the other contestants and the judges were like, give him an extra 15 minutes just because his dish broke.
But
which is whatever. No one cares. It's just made up.
I did that, but I gave you the wrong show to watch because that was that was actually one of the worst ones I've ever seen. Yeah. And it was because I gave you the British season versus the American. It doesn't matter. On the flip side of that, also another COVID thing that I got into was we have Sling now. I don't know if you're familiar with Sling, but we get 400 channels of weird. It's all the most weird broadcast.
There's one channel on Sling that's just Portlandia reruns.
Yeah.
It's just called Portlandia channel.
Yes.
I'm like, what the fuck is this?
That's 100% true. So the channel I got stuck on was called Four on a Bed. And it's a British show about people who go to each other's B&Bs. It's almost impossible to watch. And I watched it for 9 days.
There's just a channel on Sling where you just watch
there's
people
a
go to
show.
Airbnb or what?
It's a contest.
It's
a contest.
Is it Australian based?
It's British.
Oh, there's one. It stemmed in Australia where people have Airbnbs, and then the 4 or 5 super hosts go to each other's Airbnbs and they judge them on the.
Oh, I
exactly
forgot about
the
that
show.
show. I watched that with you.
Yeah.
I bet it's the same show, and it's like because they always
It's
do
a British
that with
version.
British, Australian, New Zealand, U.S. usually. Yeah, they do that all the time, and they do the interesting.
Yes.
Well, not really that interesting actually, but that's
It's
the
really
place
not.
for this
But
show.
it was one of the things that I could fall asleep and then wake up and be like, Tiffany doesn't like, the English breakfast at, the London Town Hotel. And
Fuck, that's not what we were supposed to do. Our ancestors who died on the wagon trail are like, oh, Tiffany didn't like her English muffin breakfast.
So
I can't help but think of that stuff when I hear these things.
So that leads me to the documentary. I didn't do a whole lot on Disney Plus because I haven't seen a whole lot behind. I mean, there's all the Star Wars and Marvel things. Haven't seen any of that. Peacock, I only watch Below Deck basically. So the documentary that I watched was Shiny Happy People about the Duggars.
Oh.
And I don't think I learned anything, but what I did realize is that it's fascinating to watch people who are just like, you're living in the same world as them, but are you? I mean, I don't really understand how their world works. So, it was just.
I started to get really deep into that, like to the point where it was becoming obsessive. So I couldn't watch that. I would have been off the deep end.
It was only one show, though. I mean, it was like a 2-hour.
Oh yeah, I know too much about everything else. It's
okay.
I mean,
she would be telling the documentary what's coming next. She would, be correcting it.
There is Duggar talk. There's TikTok Duggar talk. So I mean, that's
really.
You could go down
like
that.
I said, our 4 algorithms, I think, diverged long ago. I think we all look at different things. Different things on our TikToks.
I think you're right. So anyway, that's what I'll end on.
Jess, did you have? I know Nicole's got a big one left, but did you have any other things to wrap up on before Nicole anchors us down?
Not a big one. I've been watching House. I think I started trying to watch House in the pandemic, and I didn't really get that far. But I've been watching episodes here and there, and I've talked about it on the show before. House is a show that's close to me, so.
We did one of the episodes where he goes to like a rehab.
That was my first host pick.
Yeah.
Also, just
House is good.
You've had some decent hosts. You've had some decent host picks. You did that school shooting animated one that was good, and
that was a good one.
Yeah,
you've had some good ones. Well, all right, there you go. Nicole, why don't you tell us the brand new show you've been catching up on?
Okay. Well, all of this talk made me think of like 4 other things that I wanted to mention.
Do that first.
I'll ramble those off really quickly. 2 things I didn't really care for. 1, Swarm.
You didn't like Swarm? Oh, I liked Swarm except for the last 5 minutes.
That was right. It was the ending that killed the whole show.
It's a bad ending. I hate the ending. I hate the ending of Swarm.
About a girl who's obsessed with a rapper, right?
She's obsessed with like a Beyonce look, like a fictionalized Beyonce, and she's like obsessive. But
who wrote that? Is it Donald Glover?
Donald Glover was a writer, but I have to look up the main person who made it.
Yeah,
it's not
the unfortunate ending to a otherwise fascinating show. It's got all the symbolism. Bees and all that shit.
I thought it was very good, except for the last 5 minutes. The last 5 minutes destroys it. Janine Nabbers is her name. Is the creator.
Yeah. Another thing I tried to give a chance to, couldn't do it, but everyone seems to love it, is Jury Duty.
No?
Yeah.
The comedy reality show where the guy doesn't know that he's being filmed and he thinks everyone else is actually on the jury, but they're all actors except him. It's supposed to be hilarious.
Sounds tedious.
James Marsden is in it as himself, and the guy doesn't recognize him, or he does, and he's like excited that he's on the jury with him. He doesn't know it's all scripted. Couldn't get into that. One other thing that I loved, last season of Succession,
Yes.
obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Very upset that is over.
We never did our Succession discussion. I mean, it's been so long now, but it's a rewatch show for me. There's not very many of those left, but I will always. You ever watch Succession, Jess?
Yeah.
You joining us with this love?
No, I think I tried to watch it and it was too sarcastic for me, so I turned it off.
It's very.
I understand.
Yeah.
Oh well.
And the big thing that has consumed my life for the past 3 months, probably less than that, because I couldn't stop binging it, and I just finished it yesterday, and now I don't know what else to do with my life. There's an empty hole
Don't you hate
in my
when
heart.
you watch a TV show and you binge it and you're just like, what is life
It's
now?
over.
Yeah.
6 seasons.
The sadness.
And it's over because it's over from like 10 years ago, and that is The Sopranos.
Oh.
And I just became completely obsessed with it and started to feel like that was my life, and how could I fit this into my life?
That was your life?
Because
What?
everything that was happening.
People give it like very, very, very strong recommendations of The Sopranos. Maybe I should give that one.
It's
You would
one
like
of
it,
the
Jess.
best
It's
reviewed shows ever.
It holds up. It's like the
Yeah.
first. It's the first good. I mean, Twin Peaks. I always say, but that's different. Like Sopranos was the first modern TV show. There's no Breaking Bad, Walking Dead, Mad Men. None of it. Like there's none of it without. Sopranos.
And it's amazing to me thinking back, like, I think it was on from like 98 or 99 to like 2006, I think, something like that. That when that time in television where you had to watch things week by week, I don't know how people could sit and wallow on that show for a week at a time.
No way.
To wait for
so
it.
dense.
Like, it's unbelievable.
It's so ahead of its time.
It is. There's so much to remember. There's so much to not need to know, but you don't know that, obviously. And it's just the amount of characters and the attachment that you grow to the people. And I remember I was telling one of my colleagues, he asked me who some of my favorite characters were, and I told him, and obviously he didn't spoil the surprise, but every single one of those people died.
Well, it's The Sopranos.
I was like, well, what
A lot
the
of people
fuck?
die in Sopranos. So not a lot spoiled.
But not all of them.
Not all of them. So you don't have to say which ones. So you're right. There are some surprises in who makes it.
Yeah, but I mean, it captivated me. I cried a lot in the last season, at a lot of different things. And, if you don't know about what happens, it's a shock to you for the majority of the show.
I mean, I think I know what happens at the very end, but I've never seen it, and I'm going to put it down on my list because I think it's a good.
Yeah, now I feel like I need to watch it.
You get sucked in. It's incredible.
What is it on HBO?
So
it's on Max.
It's on HBO Max. There's 6 seasons. They're about 13 episodes each, but the last season's a doozy. There's
like
21 episodes.
Wow. It's a lot.
21. There's 21 episodes in the last one, so I powered through before our trip because I couldn't leave it without finishing it before we went.
She has to know what happens at the end of Friends. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that was my watch of the year for sure. I'm so glad I picked that up. I tried in the past, and I was younger. I probably was in my teens when I tried to watch it, and I couldn't grab on. But I'm so glad that I watched it now. But I am looking for something new, and I had 3 things on my list that I would like a vote on of what my next thing should be. One of them is The Bear, so it's funny you brought that up. The second one is Suits, which everyone has been talking about this year because I believe they put the whole thing on Netflix, which we don't have right now, but if we do, I've heard
Suits people talking about rewatching it recently or watching it again.
Yep. And my third option is, which I believe is on Max, is The Wire.
Oh, yeah, that's supposed to be really
I think
good
it's
too.
in with one of those... Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those series I think that people just have never stopped talking about. So those are my 3: The Bear, Suits, or The Wire. I gotta pick which one's next.
I can put an Instagram poll, and then when we get back from our trip, we can see who wins.
That's a good one.
Do it.
The only ones I hear about Suits, but the people that recommend Suits to me are always dudes. So
my hesitation was that it's the people who's recommending me The Bear, Suits, and Wire. I'm picking The Bear or The Wire ahead of Suits all day, every day.
Are you ready to commit to another very, very long season
That's the
TV
thing,
show
too.
after you
Yeah.
just finished yours, or would you want something a little more shorter?
I don't know, because I feel like a
9
different
seasons.
person.
The Bear's pretty short, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Bear's 2 seasons and maybe like 10 episodes each. So it's short.
That's pretty short, yeah.
I feel like
The
a
Wire's
different
big.
person now who has had to commit to something, like this, and now that it's over, I feel like my child went off to college or something, and I don't know what to do
Why
with
are you
myself.
ducking?
Type of
There's a
thing.
movie right on HBO Max that's a continuation of it, a prequel, Many States of Newark. And every time I bring it up, you duck it so hard. Is it because you just don't want to talk about it for 40 minutes with me on this
I
microphone?
don't want it to end. That's the end.
It is
Oh, you
sad.
want to have
No,
one more?
Nicole, I totally relate on the feeling.
One
I know
more
Yes,
thing
me
out
too.
there.
what you feel.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well, you can hold on to that one more piece. I also caught up on a few things, not that old, but on Paramount Plus. Didn't have it for a long time. Just got access to it a couple months ago, and caught up on all of the South Park TV movies they've been having. Again, something you guys did not care about, but they had the pandemic movies, the Panderverse one, the streaming wars, and their multiple parts. They're all like 50-minute TV movies, and for the most part, they're like solid South Park. Like, not as good as like their best episodes, but better than they had like a long slump, in my opinion, and they've kind of been firing on all cylinders for the past 5 or 7 years or so. So I think they're mostly still at the top of their game. My favorite ones was the first part of the post-pandemic one, where they're all like 40 years old all of a sudden. I really like that one. And then the most recent one, the Panderverse one, where black woman Cartman shows up, and all of a sudden she is confused why all of her friends have been replaced by little white boys. So those are
You lost me.
yeah,
Black woman
it's,
Cartman.
it's the Panderverse. So I'll do this one real
I don't
quick,
know
'cause
what
you're
Pandaverse
laughing.
means, but okay.
It's they're pandering by the big enemy of the episode is Kathleen Kennedy, and she is using the Pander Stone to summon alternate versions of people from our reality and replacing them with diverse women. And so Cartman has been replaced by a black woman. But the funniest part of it is the actress playing Cartman, like the black Cartman, is like perfectly like his mannerisms and like characteristics, so it's actually like very effective. And then it's good. It's very good. It's good South Park. I don't like everything they've done.
Are you saying
What?
panderisms or pandaisms? I feel like I'm in a Will
Pander?
Ferrell movie.
Pander? Pander. Like you're pandering. I've never
I
said
thought you were
this whole
saying panda, and I was like,
why would they go into a panda
I thought
verse? They're
that's
going into
what
a
panda too.
panderverse.
that's right, you're
where
explaining
they're
all this. I'm all
pandering.
like, oh, what the hell does that have to do
Kathleen
with
Kennedy
pandas?
uses the pander stone to pander to everybody.
All right,
so that
I'm
they
sad
all
I asked,
buy the
honestly.
money. Yeah. Yeah. If you just allow yourselves to watch it and enjoy it, you will enjoy it. But you
good.
will not allow yourselves, and that's
No.
okay. So, were there any other things to catch up on that you guys left out? I feel like we've covered pretty much everything. I'm down for The Wire or The Bear. I'm not as interested in the suits, but The Wire or The Bear. You can vote on that. I'd be interested in that.
Put the poll
Yeah,
on
put
there.
it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna be we're doing all these bulk episodes and random episodes because Nicole and I, as if you're hearing this, we're in Antarctica right now. We are in Antarctica.
That's
Very
pandaverse.
cool. We're panda. We're in the
Penguinverse.
we're in the penguin verse. Anything else, guys? I think that's it. Right.
Yeah.
That's it. But don't forget to
That's
watch
it.
all your good Christmas movies that, all the ones that you need. Elf and, Love Actually,
The Holdovers.
obviously Die Hard, Home Alone.
Yeah.
There was actually an
All the
Apple
other reindeer.
TV Christmas movie that came out last year. What was it called?
Spirited with Will Ferrell and Ryan
Yeah,
Reynolds.
that one.
Didn't see
Did you
that.
like that?
I think I fell asleep to it, but I'd try to watch it again.
It's
Okay.
a musical, so
I might too.
yeah, I've heard mixed things.
Yeah.
Well, if you have things to recommend to us in January, we're going to come back, and that's when all the stuff is. That's when the top 5 show is, so we can actually focus on the really good stuff instead of all this random crap we just talked about. We can do the draft show, which will have our Instagram tournament. We're going to find out what the 2023 movie is of the people, of the listeners, because when we do a top 5 show, I have a feeling it's gonna be tough to have a consensus this year. There's a lot of competing parties. I don't know if there's gonna be consensus at the top. But if you have things to recommend to us, Films with the Women in My Life on Facebook. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'm Brennan_podhost. And you can email the show, filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. You can also find us on YouTube. Just search Films with the Women in My Life and click all the buttons that make us have things happen. So, thank you guys for catching up on 2023 with me on movies and TV and
Super fun in the
all kinds of other
Pandaverse.
stuff. Join that Pandaverse, not the Pandaverse.
Happy holidays.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Yes. All right. Till next time, this is Brendan signing off saying thanks for listening and enjoy your movies.
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Keep up with the latest from the show on Instagram at Brennan_podhost, on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, and on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. Finally, you can email the show with questions and suggestions at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke and Chris Iwanek. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening and enjoy your movies.